Welcome. This time we're going to talk about aggregation and composition, which are particular kinds of association. And I think along the way I will also talk a bit about object diagrams, just to remind you about how those work in UML. Okay, so here we have a mini class diagram. We've got a class called degree and a class called course. So degree might be, for example, computer science or software engineering, and course might be software design and modelling, say. What's the relationship between these classes? Well, we expect to be able to say that a course is in a degree. It might be compulsory in a degree or just an option for a degree. And that sounds like an association. Okay, if we take an individual degree object and an individual course object, it makes sense to ask, is this course in this degree? And we can show that just as usual with the association. Let's see if I can make this work. By the time I finish remaking these videos, I'll know how to use this new hardware and software. Almost. Okay. But the association isn't terribly informative in this case. If we tried to give it a name, we would end up giving it a name along the lines of is a part of, and that turns up so often that it's useful to have special notation for it. And that's what aggregation and composition are for. So what I can do is I can rub out the end of the association there, and I can put on what's sometimes called an adornment. I can put on a little open diamond like this at the end of the thing which is the whole, not the end which is the part. So this says a degree has some parts which are courses, or alternatively a course can be part of a degree. Okay. Now, this open diamond is quite a flexible notion. It doesn't, for example, prevent the same course from being part of more than one degree. We could have the SDM course being part of both the computer science degree and the software engineering degree. And just to make sure that nobody forgets how to do object diagrams, let's just try drawing that. I'm going to try drawing this freehand. So suppose we're going to say SE is a degree. So this is an object, yes, we use the same shape as for the classifier, class in this case, to show an instance of the classifier, object in this case, and we have an instance name, colon, the classifier name, and we underline the whole thing. So now this is an object representing a degree object called SE for software engineering. And let's also have a CS degree, shall we? So we've got two different objects of class degree. And we'll say that we've got a course SDM, or class course. So now these are all objects in an object diagram. And now we can put links, which are instances of association, in to illustrate. So this whole object diagram you can see as being an instance of this class diagram. Now notice, of course, it would be just as good an instance of the class diagram if we hadn't bothered to put this aggregation diamond on the end. The aggregation diamond is really just giving us a bit more information about the informal meaning of the association. You can mostly think of it as saving us from the trouble of giving a name to the association when that name would just be is part of. Okay. I'm emphasizing the informality because way back when UML was being developed, there were endless arguments about precisely what aggregation ought to mean and precisely what the stronger notion, composition, which I'm going to show you in a moment, should mean. And it was really rather fruitless. It's really better to think of these as being informal notions to help you interpret the association. Okay. Now, let's get rid of the object diagram. Whoops, like that. And then let's think about a stronger whole-part relationship. So I emphasized in this case that there was nothing to stop us having the same course be part of more than one degree. But suppose that is what you want. Suppose we've got something more like, eventually I will know how to drive this stuff. Today is not that day. Let's get rid of that. Like that. Good. With the placement, let's just go straight on and start writing. Okay, so now suppose instead we've got a car class and a wheel class. Now my point here, of course, is that a wheel cannot be part of more than one car. Okay, that would be nonsense. And that's where we use the stronger notion of composition, which is shown using a filled-in black diamond as the adornment on the association. That's not very neat, but hopefully you know what I mean. It's a filled-in black diamond. Okay. So that's composition. And in this case, there are a number of subtly different things that composition can imply, but it implies things like, if you were going to copy the whole object, the car in this case, you would have to copy the part object, the wheels in this case. If you wanted to destroy the car object, you would have to destroy the wheel objects. No wheel can be part of more than one car, that kind of thing. So it's a stronger whole-part relationship. And again, think of it more or less as an informal idea that gives you a better feeling for what the association means. The thing that has a definite formal meaning is the association in the first place.